Hello guys, I'm Gal and today I have a message about Moses, Mount Sinai and the Kabbalah spheres. So the other day I woke up in my bed and I got a clear message about the 10 Commandments being a state of being and not commands, which I already talked about in a previous video. But this message got me curious to keep digging about Moses and Mount Sinai and what really happened there. So I connected to the higher realms to get some answers. I had a friend with me, which he served as the channeler, and I was the one that asked the questions. So I want to thank him for that. Now, when we connected to the higher realms, the energy that came through to answer our questions was the energy that presented itself as the energy of Zeus. It's not the first time that he comes to bring a message, and this information is a bit challenging, so please just take what's resonate and leave what doesn't. So the first question that I asked was, who gave Moses the 10 Commandments? Because there is a lot of talk about it online and some people think it's related to the Anunnakis. The answer that we got was the Creator himself, the God, all there is. In Hebrew we call it Hakadosh Baruch Hu, is the one that gave Moses the 10 Commandments. Then he added and said that the 10 Commandments are related to the 10 spheres of the Kabbalah. Then I added that I heard that originally there were 12 spheres and not 10. Is this true? He said that's very true, and he also added that is why there were originally also 12 commandments and not 10. I was in shock and I asked them, wait, what were the additional 2 commandments? So I didn't understand it fully, but he said something about you creating your own reality and that you yourself are God, and that this information was removed by people that didn't want us to know the truth. He also said, and that's important, that Moses got his information through frequency waves of information and not actual words. And also that Moses was kind of a star seed and he had higher abilities to get this information. So he got this wave of information and he translated to a language that people can understand. So Moses, being a star seed, his role was to connect to the higher realms and bring information, and Aaron, on the other side, was the one that was responsible to the people in the ground, to the humans. Aaron knew about Moses being a starseed, and he kind of was like helping him behind the scene. So the 12 commandments are actually 12 frequencies and not words. Now the additional role of Mount Sinai was to download here higher energies, higher frequencies. And the reason for it was to elevate the frequencies of the people and to elevate their consciousness. The higher realms wanted to elevate the people's consciousness and take them to the next level. Something like taking them from the second dimension of consciousness to the third one, which is exactly what happened to us these days when we are taken to our next level of evolution, to our next level of consciousness, and we are getting help from this by getting a lot of higher energies to the earth. When we are moving from the third dimension to the fourth dimension and then to the fifth dimension of consciousness. So the purpose of Mount Sinai was to evolve the people back then to their next level. So my friend was shown a portal opening, and then he saw a man, probably Moses, standing inside of a pyramid and doing and opening his hands to the sky, and then he saw a back pyramid, and that's how he received the light, received the energies down through his hands when he did like this. So the story of Moses got twisted. It was about ascensions of frequencies. The thing about Moses going up in the mountain for 40 days was only metaphoric. It wasn't really climbing up in a mountain. Moses went to isolate himself in order to do spiritual ascension. So Moses climbing up in the mountain was only a metaphor for Moses actually climbing in his spiritual path. As I understand it, there wasn't really a mountain, but maybe there was a real mountain, and it's also a metaphoric story. So the people back then that wasn't really smart as today and didn't really understand the higher spiritual path were told that he climbed a mountain just for simplicity. So it was just a metaphor for ascension. So the story got twisted, and the original purpose of it was to raise the frequencies of the people and to raise their consciousness. He also said that there were additional places in the world where this Mount Sinai event happened, that they wanted to raise the frequencies of the earth and the people, and they did it in several places around the world, and not only the story that we know. So again, we can see that we are actually experiencing this story again in our now ascension process, that we get a lot of high frequencies of waves of light to help us, to take us to the next level of evolution through our solar flares and all the energy that comes down to us. Another interesting thing that he shared was about Moses' name. Moses in Hebrew is Moshe. It's 3 letters, and each letter represents different energies. The energies are air, water, and earth. In Hebrew, it's called Avir, Mayim, Adama. And the interesting thing that my friend noticed is that these initial letters create the words Ima, which means mom in Hebrew. Another interesting thing that we talked about was Lag BaOmer. It's a Jewish holiday that we burn fires. And he said that Lag BaOmer is connected to the solar flares. And then I asked, wait, is Lag BaOmer is the earthly representation of the solar flares? And he said, oh yes. And that itself reminded me one of the prophets. So one of the prophets said that in the end times, the righteous will be saved, and the people that did wrong will be something like a burned in fire, if I'm not mistaken. But what I understand from it's not an actual fire, it's actually talking about the solar flares. So the solar flares are just like a fire from the sky, just like something like the scripture said. So these are the fires that comes from the sky and burns all the people that did wrong. But it's not really judging, it's just all the people that are in low vibration won't be able to stay or be alive anymore in the higher frequencies, because the higher frequencies terminates everything that is low vibration. So everything and everyone that keeps vibrating low eventually will have to leave the planet.